Alright fellas, here we are back in another Pokemon Legends ZA video. I love making these, man. It's so fun. This is going to be talking about sort of Mega Evolution, but mostly in the form of Primal Reversion. Will we see potentially Primal Reversion in Pokemon Legends ZA? Obviously, I can lead off by saying we don't know 100%. We're never going to know 100% until they actually show it to us or put it in actual concrete evidence in, like, an interview or, just in text, stuff like that, right? We're never going to know 100%. So obviously all this stuff is like theoretical, just making assumptions based off, surrounding circumstances. Obviously take it as like a theory or a grain of salt, everything with like a massive grain of salt. Obviously don't get your hopes up. Like, I should preface that like with every single theory I do or like talk about something that is just not confirmed. This stuff is theoretical. These are ideas. They could be ideas that would be cool. They could be ideas that I think could legitimately happen. And most of the time, I honestly think a lot of the ideas I do give out could happen because they are pretty realistic. Could we see Primal Reversion in Legends ZA? I think there's an argument that can definitely be made both ways. I'm personally leaning towards yes, because of a few different things that has been happening, not just in like the Legends ZA trailers, because that doesn't really give us too much, but also in the Pokemon anime and just kind of associated events. So obviously we know Mega Evolution's returning in Pokemon Legends ZA. It's the whole point that it's returning in the TCG. And well, most importantly now, let me pull up the clip real quick. This here has just dropped something for the Pokemon Horizons anime, which is a shiny Mega Lucario. So of course Mega Evolution is not coming back just in ZA, the TCG. It's been in like side games like Pokemon Masters. It is actually here in the anime as well. That is a big indicator for me on what we're going to be like seeing in the anime, because I want to say that, I want to preface this by saying there's going to be some minor anime spoiler. I mean, I say minor, but it could be pretty major for the Pokemon Horizons anime. But only going to be up to like episode like 70-ish, I would say, 75 probably. I'm not going to try and like go into any details. But we've got ourselves the Black Rayquaza, the shiny Rayquaza that's like a big story, story point in the entire Horizons anime, as well as Zygarde here. Where is it at? This Zygarde is a big player in the Horizons anime. Not going to say why, but let's just say that is a big Pokemon. Obviously, if you've seen this show, you know why. But this Zygarde and this Rayquaza are two very big characters. They are basically like the two like contrasting forces. I guess you could say like the two big boys that are going to probably end up duking it out in the climax of the series. Rayquaza versus Zygarde. I think we can understand where this is going to go. This is going to escalate into a shiny, probably Mega Rayquaza versus a shiny complete Zygarde, if not maybe Mega Zygarde, given, some potential leaks that may or may not have happened, if you know, stuff like that, right? So this Rayquaza versus this Zygarde in their shiny, Mega forms or 100% form, whatever, that's going to be insane. And with us knowing that Mega Evolution is coming back in the anime, well, we're probably going to be getting this Rayquaza to Mega Evolve, and again, in the big climax of the series. I don't know if we're close yet. It really just depends how they go with the series, but if we want to see Mega Evolution, we're going to see it, because they're going to want to promote the new big gimmick of the series, the Mega Evolution returning. They're going to want to promote that as much as possible, which is why it's in the TCG. This is why it's going to be in the anime. It's going to be all over the newest stuff, forever. Well, not forever, but for at least until the hype for Mega Evolution, like with Legends ZA and stuff, calms down. Depending on if they even want to bring it into like another core series game after that. We'll see, but it just really depends. So with the power of Mega Evolution returning, we're going to be seeing this guy probably Mega Evolve, and we're going to see probably this guy going 100%, if not, Mega Evolving himself, depending on how, if we even get a Mega Zygarde. And that's going to be extremely hype. Why does this tie into Primal Reversion? I think with the simple fact that they're going to be wanting to like hype up Mega Rayquaza a ton with the anime, they're going to put Mega Rayquaza in Pokemon Legends ZA. That just makes the most sense. Why would you release... I say this, but then, the thing happened with Ash Greninja, but why would you release this big, super hype, super cool form of a Pokemon, especially shiny, and then not release it in the game that is going to be released around the time that it's probably going to end up getting this super cool form? Because I would bet money that we're going to be getting shiny Mega Rayquaza around the time that Pokemon Legends ZA releases, if not a little bit before, a little bit after, in that general time frame, but something like that is probably going to happen. So why would they release that and then not give it the Mega Evolution to us in game? There's no reason to. Granted, again, going back to Ash Greninja, they did do that. In X, Y, and Z, they didn't give us Ash Greninja until Sun and Moon, but that still, I think, solidifies my point, because it's like, if they want to even delay it to the next game, we're gonna probably get a shiny Mega Rayquaza at least in the games, which goes back into the Primal Reversions. If the off chance happens that we don't see Rayquaza and its Mega Evolution in Pokemon Legends ZA, we will see it in another game, which, let's just keep in mind, Legends ZA is the whole reason Mega Evolution is returning. There is no confirmation or anything that Mega Evolution is going to be a permanent feature, or even a feature that's going to be featured in the next main series game. Like, obviously, we got Legends Arceus. After that, we got, Scarlet and Violet. There's no confirmation that we're going to go from ZA to the next, Gen 10 game or whatever game they release, and it's going to have Mega Evolution. There's no confirmation of that. If anything, there's a good probability it just won't happen. Which is why they should just incorporate Rayquaza into this game anyway to feature all of these Mega Evolutions. But again, in the off chance that it doesn't happen, and we do get Megas in the next game, and Rayquaza's not featured in this game, just because maybe it doesn't fit, whatever, then we could see it return in that next game alongside Primal, Groudon, and Kyogre, simply because I think it would be extremely weird to not include Mega Rayquaza alongside Primal, Kyogre, and Groudon. I think just putting in the, obviously Rayquaza is a Mega Pokemon, and it's, probably the most hype of the trio, but why would you just go out and not include the other two of its trio, right? It would just not make sense. It would basically be like having, 100% Zygarde here without Xerneas and Yveltal. There's no way they're going to do that, especially if it's a Gen 6 game, or, well, it's a Kalos game, you're going to have Xerneas and Yveltal in it, basically unconditionally, but I think the same thing can apply to Rayquaza. It's like, why include Rayquaza with its awesome Mega Evolution if you're not going to include Kyogre and Groudon? And that's mostly my evidence for them returning, or at least what I think will be why they return, with Rayquaza 100% getting this Mega Evolution pretty much in the anime. Obviously not 100% confirmed, I guess technically shouldn't say that, but like, it's gonna happen. They're gonna want to make the most bank off of this as much as they can. Megas are returning. It's like, why would they not show a main story Pokemon, like the main central Pokemon of Pokemon Horizons, basically getting its awesome new, or I guess old, Mega form, right? Why would they not do that? There's no reason. It's like gonna be printing money, take my word for it. Especially alongside the Zygarde here. Like, they're going to want to hype that up as much as possible. The whole reason Zygarde is probably the main, I guess, like, the main opposing force Pokemon, main antagonist, I guess you could say. I say antagonist in quotes. Again, there's not really, it really just depends. But the reason that thing's being included to begin with is because of Legends ZA. The anime goes entirely based off of what the games are doing. It's like, okay, if the games are doing this, then we're going to try and incorporate this so we can promote the games, promote sales on other merch, stuff like that, which is why all the TCG has it, right? It's like terrestrialization. Terrestrialization was in Scarlet and Violet. They gave terrestrialization to the TCG. There's a ton of terrestrialization in the anime, obviously, and there still is. So it's like they're going to want to promote that as much as possible. Same thing with the Zygarde. This Zygarde is being released as the main Pokemon in the show alongside Rayquaza in order to actually promote Legends ZA, because of course Zygarde is the main Pokemon in this game. So that's the entire reason for it. Pokemon is, if we want to get like political, quote unquote, about it, is basically just a big cycle of how can we like print money and do massive promotions for our games. That is what the anime basically is. Like, obviously Horizons is a great show, I obviously recommend it, but it's like, at the end of the day, at the same time, a lot of its concepts and ideas are going to be used to promote the rest of the stuff in the series. Terrestrialization, Zygarde, those are two big ones. Mega Evolution with Rayquaza, and apparently this Lucario here that's going to be coming in. Yeah, so I mean, that's just evidence enough. And again, it doesn't make the show any worse, for sure, because it's still a really good show, and I really recommend people watch it. But yeah, so that's my main evidence for them returning. Obviously, they could not return as well. That's definitely a realistic possibility. It's like they can just include Rayquaza, not include Primal Groudon and Kyogre, just because Primal Reversion is fundamentally different from Mega Evolution, even though it kind of is like just a pseudo Mega Evolution in a sense, pretty much. Like, there's no real way you can kind of argue against that. Like, they were introduced in the same generation as like a similar gimmick, Pokemon getting a new form and getting stronger because of it, and getting a new ability, stuff like that. But obviously the way it works, I guess, is fundamentally different. But despite them being fundamentally different, I still just do think that it would make the most sense. But again, if they are fundamentally different, and they don't want to include it, it would also make sense. They're not Megas by technicality. They don't have to include them. And I think in one sense anyway, it would be pretty difficult to incorporate Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza in like any meaningful way into Legends ZA. I don't think there are going to be any central plot points. It would mostly be like in that same slot of most of the legendaries, but like genies in Legends Arceus, where they just kind of appeared. They were here Pokemon. Same with like Enamorus, right? I think that would be like a similar slot to what they would be like in that game, despite obviously having their awesome forms. So yeah, I do hope that we get them back. I think it would be an amazing thing to get. I don't know. I don't think there's any good reason for them to not include them. Like, would it make sense if they don't include them? Yeah, but at the same time, you know, you release these guys, you're printing money. Pokemon Masters just released them for its 5.5 anniversary, so it's like, you know, you can hype up those sync pairs again, just because of the, you know, the comeback of this feature, you know, Primal Reversion here. Do I think we'll get new Primal Reversions? I really don't think so. We got Origin Forms for Dialga and Palkia. People were really hoping for Origin Forms for those, like back when we just got Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and a lot of other legendaries getting similar, but I don't see it happening. Primal seems very, very specific to, like, obviously older Pokemon, the Rayquaza, and, well, not Rayquaza, but Groudon and Kyogre specifically. It just makes a lot more sense for them. Like, I don't know, like would Zekrom and Reshiram really have Primal power? I doubt it, because they are not always two separate Pokemon. They were the original Dragon, right? I mean, Mewtwo's a man-made Pokemon. Lugia and Ho-Oh, maybe, you know, they could have like primal ancient power. I could honestly see them being like some of the bigger candidates. Same with like Xerneas and Yveltal, maybe giving them primal forms. But I think at the same time, those Pokemon could just get megas as well. Xerneas and Yveltal, that would make a lot of sense too. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say in terms of like evidence. Again, I just think that with the fact that the Rayquaza is a big central force of the anime, and they're going to want to use the anime to promote the games, that Rayquaza being in the anime is already kind of evidence that we're going to kind of see Rayquaza in the games. And in that sense, I think that Rayquaza could lead to Groudon and Kyogre also being in the games with their primal forms. And I think that just makes the most sense, again, with Primal Reversion kind of being like an offshoot of Mega Evolution, like mechanic-wise, and somewhat lore-wise as well, with Mega Rayquaza being the one to actually stop Primal Groudon and Kyogre, and, you know, all of that stuff in the lore. So I think that's interesting. But yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Let me know if you're going to be thinking we'll be getting a Primal Reversion in Pokemon Legends ZA. I think it's got a good possibility. So yeah, I'll see you later. Hope you all enjoyed. Peace.